Interactive therapy or interactive tapping really works with using the sequence to set the polarization. So you're dealing with the part of yourself. You're dealing with the part of you who's really triggered, and you're dealing with the part of you who can respond to that trigger. Now, in some of Lindsay's material, she talks about using the reversal, and I incorporate that. There are two techniques that I learned from Lindsay that I really use a lot. One is reversals, where we give voice to the subconscious resistance to change, which in my world is called the saboteur. So that's not neutralizing anything, it's identifying it. We do it at the beginning of a sequence if we feel like there's really a part of you that does not want to let go. We give voice to that part. We bring into the conscious mind the subconscious desire or resistance to change. And by doing that, we deal with the impediment to change. Now, sometimes your intensity level, usually we ask on a scale from 1 to 10, how intense is the emotion? A lot of times with the reversal, the intensity shoots up because we're giving voice to it. I look at that as a positive, because if it shoots up, then that means that we have brought it from the crevices of your subconscious mind. So when I'm doing reversals with people, I really exaggerate it, because we want to get into those places that are out of your conscious mind. And it's not uncommon when we're doing a reversal for the client to be saying, yeah, but I really don't feel that. And I'll say, no, your conscious mind doesn't. But there's most likely a part of you who does. So we want to bring this out. Remember, we're working on the subconscious, so you're not going to be aware of that. A lot of times it makes it so that the person's laughing because it's so outrageous, and then sometimes the intensity does go down. But that just sets the stage. So that's one of Lindsay's techniques. The other one that I really was drawn to is what she calls the bundling of baggage, and that was just made for inner child work, and I always give her credit because she designed it, and it works magnificently. Most of my sessions begin by finding out what your concern is. We look at all of the experiences you've had that fit into that bag of experience, and then we neutralize the experience of the bag itself. So we're dealing with themes, and that is effective if there's repetitive patterns. So that doesn't work with core issues. It doesn't work with things that we're targeting. What I like about starting out with that is that it's not targeted at a certain age or a certain incident. It is all the times that I felt abandoned. And once we neutralize that general theme, then what emerges are the core memories of the situations where there's an inner child that is suspended in time, or a soul aspect that's suspended in time. So then we follow that thread. So that's the interactive. You'll always hear me working with, even though this part of me feels this, I have this part of me that can now respond. I apply the interactive tapping to inner child work, to work with our bodies, to work with our soul issues. So it's a very multidimensional way of tapping as well. But it's always dealing with an aspect of us, an aspect of our soul, an aspect of our childhood, an aspect of our physical form. Even who you were 2 weeks ago, because who you are now can respond differently. So that's kind of an overview of the interactive tapping. You'll also see me really integrate tapping into the methods that I used in the original Inner Child Workbook. I use it with mirror work. I have people stand in front of the mirror and tap on the different endpoints while they're talking to themselves. And what's magical about inner child work, with mirror work, is it creates the duality of that polar. So as you're talking in the mirror, you start out with the wounding feeling, but pretty soon you begin to respond. And you can tell that it's an inner child when you're using the word I. So even though I feel so, unworthy right now, that's an inner child. If you use the word you, then it's one of two things. If it's a negative statement, it's a critical voice, which is an implant from the adults in your lives, those who shamed you. So why do you always do that? That would be an extension of your inner critic. If it's a soothing, then it can be a nurturing mother, a nurturing father voice. It can be the voice of your most illuminated self. So you'll get familiar with all these different characters within. No, you're not schizophrenic. You're not psychotic. We're dealing with the different aspects of you. We're not dealing with core parts of your personality that have split off. We're dealing with different feeling states, with different mental states, with different conceptual states. And we're getting those aspects of you to interact. So it's very Gestalt therapy based, like I talked about in that one audio. So I think that gives you a base. The other thing that you'll see that I do want to, one more thing, is that I use the finger tapping a lot. Sometimes when we're so charged, we can't tap on our face and we can't figure out all this stuff. So you just start venting. You know, you can use this, but if it gets irritating, then just tap on the ends of your fingers. And it's always on the inside. So it's this part of your finger, then you use your thumb, and you can use both fingers, or you can tap like this, but it's on the inside and right by the fingernail. And you just tap on that while you're talking. I use this for praying. I use it when I run or take a walk. I use it when I'm dancing. I've been doing this Medicine Buddha mantra. I do it when I'm listening to that. And when you're doing it with something positive like that, like an affirmation or something, then the tapping literally neutralizes any vibrational frequency that doesn't match the vibration of the mantra or the vibration of the affirmation. So you're not targeting the negativity. You're reinforcing the positive, and you're just kind of smoothing the waters of anything that might be interfering with that. So there's the finger tapping and the mirror work. I also use it in a technique called narrative tapping, and that was inspired by my studying narrative therapy designed by David White. And that's storytelling. So what I have seen, and I talked a little bit about this I think in the audio, is that with talk therapy, we use talk therapy to identify, but if we get too embroiled in the talk therapy, it just serves to reinforce the dysfunction, the disturbance. But if you're telling your story while you're tapping, if you're venting your anger while you're tapping, then it's coming out into your immediate force field. The tapping neutralizes it, and we set the intention that your healing team takes it right back to the great central stun to be transmuted. So it's a very, very diligent way to hold yourself accountable and not spew out any negative feelings. So throughout the 20 weeks, you'll get much more proficient in these things that I've just touched on in today's video. So I hope this first week has been useful, and if you haven't watched all the videos that I've connected you to, or the suggested videos, the suggested resources, or the written material, then all of it will just serve to give you a really good foundation so that next week we can get into talking about the aspects of your adult self, your healing team, your inner male and female, and the way to neutralize just resistance as a whole. So thanks, and until next week.